All right, we're going to take you now to Washington. This is Carl Levin speaking. It's a citizen. The Senate leaders are going to introduce a bipartisan resolution in opposition to President Bush's new Iraq policy. Carl Levin speaking now about that. Let's take a listen.
The only way to end the violence in Iraq is for the Iraqi political leaders to step up and resolve their political differences, to recognize that the responsibility to save their country is theirs, and that a message that would be sent by additional American troops going there is the wrong message for the leaders of Iraq to hear. The message that more troops would send, the message that deeper military involvement would send, is that somehow or other it is in our hands what their fate in Iraq is, where the message needs to be now, after all these years, that the only way the violence will end in Iraq is if the political leaders of Iraq step up and reach the political compromises that are so essential if Iraq is going to end this spiral of violence that it is now in. Iraq's own Prime Minister Maliki said this just a few weeks ago, that the crisis is political, and the ones who can stop the cycle of aggravation and bloodletting of innocents are the Iraqi politicians. This resolution, in addition to saying that we do not support increased troops, deeper military involvement, also calls for the transition of our military mission to a more limited one of training, counterterrorism, and protecting the territorial integrity of Iraq. It also calls for the greater engagement of other countries in the region in the stabilization and reconstruction of Iraq. General Abizaid, just a few months ago, said the following. He said that he had talked to the American commanders about additional troops from America going to Iraq, and they all said no. And the reason is because, he said, we want the Iraqis to do more. It is easy for the Iraqis to rely upon us to do this work, General Abizaid said. I believe, he concluded, that more American forces prevent the Iraqis from doing more, from taking more responsibility for their own future. Finally, the Iraqi government has a poor track record of keeping commitments and meeting the benchmarks which it has set for itself. For America to supply more troops while the Iraqi leaders simply supply more promises is not a recipe for success in Iraq. Telling the Iraqis that we'll increase our troops to give them more breathing space will only postpone the day when Iraqis take their future into their own hands and decide whether they want to continue to fight a civil war or to make peace among themselves. This resolution sends a powerful message not just to the President and to the American people, but also to the leaders and the people of Iraq, that Congress does not support an escalation of our military presence in Iraq.
Thank you. Already one of your colleagues has come out, Senator Cornyn, and said, I guess I use a quote, this is nothing more than a political ploy. He says that we'll, quote, send the wrong message. He says this shows a lack of seriousness on your part, and there is a suggestion that you don't understand the consequences of failure in Iraq. I wonder if you would react to that.
He was talking about me personally?
In general, this particular press conference.
I've not had a conversation.
I'm sure he wasn't talking about you. He was talking about me.
Well, the way you framed the question shows your lack of seriousness of purpose. I can't answer for Senator Cornyn's remarks. All I can do is answer for myself, as is the case with my colleagues. In my situation, I don't know if there has been a member of the United States Senate over the last 4 years, certainly in the Republican Party, who has been more consistent and clear and direct on this issue than the senior senator from Nebraska. To somehow come up with a conclusion that it shows a lack of seriousness, I am a bit befuddled by what the Texas senator is trying to describe. This is a serious resolution put forth by serious people who care about our country. There is no moral high ground that one group of senators has over the other. if there is a disagreement on policy, that's what a democracy is about. It is not in the interest of our country and our future and the consequences of our country for us to be mute. We are not only failing our country and our constituency, but we're failing the Constitution of the United States. There should be strong, passionate disagreement. But for one, as I have said many times, I will do everything I can to stop the President's policy as he outlined it on Wednesday night. I think it is dangerously irresponsible to continue to put American lives in the middle of a clearly defined tribal sectarian civil war is wrong.
And you're listening to a press conference happening in Washington now. That is Senator Chuck Hagel from Nebraska, part of a bipartisan group of senators who are going to set up this resolution opposing President Bush's surge of troops into Iraq. He is the only Republican here at this press conference today, at least, speaking. Carl Levin from